Alright, so now that you've seen all the different sizes and styles of lights that we carry, let's talk about solar panels. We carry 4 different solar panels to accommodate a wide variety of lighting configurations that you can come up with. The size of the solar panel you need is going to be determined by the amount of lights that a customer wants installed. We carry a 35 watt, a 75 watt, a 150 watt, and a 250 watt panel.
When planning a Redilight system, we recommend using no more than 80% of the solar panel's maximum power output. We do so for 2 reasons. One, by not using all available power, it allows the lights to operate at peak brightness for more time during the day. It also helps compensate for days when the weather isn't optimal and the panel isn't producing as much power. And 2, our manufacturer's warranty guarantees that the panels will still produce 80% of their rated output for 20 years. We'll talk more about warranties later on.
When choosing a solar panel for a Redilight system, we want a panel with sufficient output to power all the lights a customer wants installed. But obviously we don't want a panel that's so large that its output's going to go mostly unused. Let's take a look at our different solar panels and the configuration options that would work with each one.
The majority of our lighting setups draw 24 watts of power. Keeping this in mind can help to quickly figure out what panel size will be needed. Our 35 watt panel is the smallest panel we offer. If we stick to our 80% rule, that gives us 28 watts of power to work with. This panel is perfect for running a single 24 watt setup. We can run a single 24 watt light, 2 12 watt lights, or 4 6 watt lights. It is compact and extremely easy to mount almost anywhere. We carry hardware to mount it on a composite shingle, tile, or metal roof. Here's a quick breakdown of its specs. It has a max output of 35 watts and an operating voltage of 37 volts. In fact, all of our panels work at right around 37 volts. The operating current of the panel is 0.95 amps. Wattage is calculated as the product of voltage and current. So this panel operating at a voltage of 37 volts and amperage of 0.95 amps produces approximately 35 watts of power. The panel weighs a little under 8 pounds and measures 20¼ inches wide by 21½ inches tall. Our 75 watt panel is good for a system using up to 60 watts of power. Its operating voltage is about 37 volts, and its operating current is 2 amps. The panel weighs about 13 pounds and measures 26½ by 30½ inches. Our 150 watt panel is good for a system using up to 120 watts of power. Its operating voltage is also 37 volts, and its operating current is about 4 amps. The panel weighs about 24 pounds and measures 26½ by 59 inches. And lastly, our 250 watt panel is good for a system using up to 200 watts of power. Its operating voltage is also 37 volts, and its operating current is 6.69 amps. The panel weighs about 39 pounds and measures 39 by 64½ inches. To quickly summarize the recommended panel usage, a 35 watt panel can support up to 28 watts of lights, a 75 watt panel can support up to 60 watts of lights, a 150 watt panel can support up to 120 watts of lights, and a 250 watt panel can support up to 200 watts of lights.
Okay, we've seen all the lights and solar panels we carry. We've also discussed how to choose a solar panel based on the wattage of lights we want to install. Now we need to talk about the last major component of a Redilight system, which is the driver. The driver's job is to regulate the power coming from the solar panel and deliver the appropriate wattage to the lights connected to it. Without the driver, you run the risk of supplying too much power to the lights and damaging them. We carry 3 types of driver. With our standard driver, the Redilight functions like an LED skylight. The light fixtures will always be on if the sun is out, and the brightness of the light will be determined by the brightness of the sun. Our remote driver option offers more control. It includes a handset that allows you to turn the light on and off, and also offers the capability to dim the light. Simply press the center button to turn the light on or off. The down button will dim the lights down, and the up button will bring the light back up to your desired brightness. Our newest driver is what we call the sunline driver. It ensures the light remains as bright as possible by automatically switching between solar power and mains power as needed. The driver has additional connectors that allow a separate power supply to be attached. And this power supply takes over when the voltage from the solar panel drops below a specified threshold. When the solar panel is above the voltage threshold, the power supply is not used. The install of this driver is significantly more complicated due to having to either plug in or wire up to mains power. When designing a Redilight system for a customer, it is important to figure out what functionality the customer is looking for before deciding on the driver type. Installing a standard or remote driver is relatively painless. Installing a Sunline driver or one of our optional day-night kits can be quite a bit more involved. We'll talk about day-night kits later.
One extremely important feature of the Redilight Spectra driver is its ability to output different wattages. So from the factory it comes set for a 24 watt load, but can also output 12 watts, 36 watts, or 48 watts. To adjust the wattage output, you simply remove the screws out of the back of the case, and then remove the top of the case to expose the internals. You'll see a set of jumpers with an L1, L2, and L3 indication. The markings on the board indicate where the jumper needs to be to output different wattages. So if you remove the jumper completely, you'll output 48 watts from the driver. If it's in the L1 position, it outputs 36 watts. L2 is 24 watts, and L3 is 12 watts.
So if you were going to run just a single 24 watt light, or 4 of the 6 watt lights plugged into a 4-way splitter, you would leave the jumper in its factory set position for 24 watt output. However, if you were going to be installing one of our 2 foot by 2 foot flat 48 watt panels, you would need to remove the jumper completely from the driver so it would output 48 watts to the light.
Our remote drivers come from the factory pre-synchronized to a remote control handset. You may find a situation where a customer wants multiple lights that are installed in their home, all to operate with one single handset. Let me show you the process it takes to synchronize a remote control handset to a driver.
So first the driver will need to be connected to power, and we remove the 4 screws from the back of the driver case. After that, we can remove the case that covers the internals, and you'll see a little red LED on the remote board here. If we press the little white button up in the top right corner of the remote board, the LED light will go out, and then we press any button on the remote, and the LED on the driver will flash to indicate that it is synchronized.
Generally, a Redilight functions a lot like a skylight, where when the sun is out, the light is on, and then in the evening when the sun goes down, the solar panel isn't producing any power and the light is off. A lot of customers want to be able to use the Redilight at night, so we supply a power supply that you can hook up to the driver and allows you to power the lights using mains power. Typically, we hook this up to a 3-way switch that allows you to toggle between either power coming from the solar panel or power coming from mains power. This comes in handy in situations where either it's dark out and you want to be able to use the light at night, or when the weather outside is too bleak and the solar panel isn't producing enough power to sufficiently power the lights. Let's take a look at what the day-night kit consists of and how it's set up.
Our day-night kit is essentially a power supply that operates at the same voltage as our solar panels, so approximately 36 volts. We offer a 60 watt power supply and a 120 watt power supply. The installer will need to obtain a 3-way switch. We don't supply the switches because they are readily available at most home improvement stores. Also, there are so many styles that it's best for the installer to pick one that matches the rest of the switches in the customer's home. Basic wiring diagrams for our day-night kit and other Redilight configurations can be found on the Downloads and Data Sheets page of our website, located under the Resources tab.
This concludes the second portion of our video training series. Thank you for watching, and if you have any questions not answered in this video or on our website, feel free to email me at cody@redilightusa.com. Thanks again.